Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at what is essentially the financial brain of a business. We're talking about the finance modules inside an enterprise resource planning system, or ERP. This is the super powerful software that lets huge companies keep track of every single penny. So, let's jump right in.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. How does a massive global company actually track every single dollar from, a brand new multi-million-dollar factory all the way down to a $10 lunch someone expensed? The scale is just staggering. Well, that is the huge problem that ERP finance modules are built to solve, and we're about to break down exactly how they pull it off.
Okay, first up, we've got the absolute foundation of the whole system, financial accounting. The easiest way to think about this? It's the company's official scoreboard. This isn't some internal report. This is the score that the entire world gets to see.
So here's the key thing to remember. This module is all about looking outward. Its job is to gather up all the financial data from every corner of the company and package it into those official reports, like an income statement or a balance sheet. And who's it for? It's for the outsiders, the stockholders, the tax authorities, government regulators, anyone with a vested interest in how the company is really doing.
Now this is where it gets kind of tricky, especially for big global companies. See, not everyone plays by the same rule book. Here in the US, companies have to follow a set of rules called GAAP. But, most other countries, they use a totally different set of standards called IFRS. A really good ERP system has to be able to handle both of them seamlessly, so a company can report its numbers correctly no matter where in the world it's operating.
All right, let's build on that. If financial accounting is the external scoreboard for the world to see, then our next module, cash management, is like getting a peek inside the company's wallet. This is all about the nitty-gritty, day-to-day flow of money coming in and money going out.
And listen, this is way more than just knowing how much cash you have in the bank right now. The real magic here is something called a liquidity forecast. It looks at all the money you expect to get and all the bills you have to pay, and it helps the finance team see into the near future. And that is absolutely crucial. It's how a company that's profitable on paper can still avoid running out of actual cash.
This brings us to a really simple but super strategic question that every single business has to ask itself constantly. When is the best time to pay this bill? And you might think, well, right away, of course, but it's actually way more complicated than that.
And this is where the strategy kicks in. For example, a company might decide to hold off on paying a supplier just to keep that cash free for something more urgent. Or, on the flip side, they might pay a bill super early to snag a nice little discount. The system also helps them plan for those huge cash outflows, like paying out dividends to all their shareholders. It's a constant balancing act.
So we've looked at the scoreboard and the wallet. Now let's talk about the big-ticket items, the really expensive physical things a company buys. This is where the asset management module comes into play, and its job is to track an asset's entire life from the moment it's bought to the moment it's gone. We're talking about what accountants call fixed assets. So think big stuff. We're talking about a fleet of delivery trucks, giant machines on a factory floor, or maybe even the headquarters building itself. This module creates a complete digital file for every single one of them. And that digital file sticks with the asset through its entire life, which the ERP system breaks down into these distinct stages. It tracks everything from the very first idea to buy it, all the way through its purchase, its use, its maintenance, and right up until it's finally sold off or scrapped.
Now, of all these steps, I want you to focus on deployment. This one is so important. This is the moment the physical thing gets its digital twin inside the system. It's like creating a digital ID card for it with all its vital stats. A unique ID number, exactly what it cost, where it's located, and how long the company expects to be able to use it. And it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. Once that asset is up and running, the system is constantly working in the background. It automatically calculates depreciation, which is really just a fancy accounting way of spreading the asset's cost out over its useful life. It also keeps a detailed log of every repair and every bit of maintenance, which is huge for both the financial reports and, just keeping the thing working properly.
All right, let's completely switch gears for a second and talk about a module that, honestly, you might have already used, especially if you've had an internship or a part-time job. Let's talk about travel and expense management.
Yeah, seriously. If you've ever had to fill out a form to get reimbursed for gas mileage, or for a lunch you bought for the team, or even for office supplies, chances are you are interacting with this exact part of a company's ERP system. It's the front door for employees to report any out-of-pocket costs they need to get paid back for.
And for the company, having a system like this is a massive win. I mean, think about it. It completely slashes the time it takes to process all those reports. It makes everything way more accurate.
It stores a digital copy of every receipt so nothing gets lost, and it creates this smooth, easy-to-use workflow for everyone involved, the employees, their managers, and the finance people cutting the check.
So, we've looked at financial accounting, cash management, asset management, and expense management. They each do a really important job. But the real magic, the true power of a system like this is how all of these different pieces connect and talk to each other.
This is it. This is the most important thing to understand about the whole system. The power isn't in any one of these modules alone. It's in the integration. So, remember that $10 lunch expense we talked about? The second that expense report gets approved, that data just flows instantly. It hits the cash management module, which lines up the payment, and at the exact same time, it hits the financial accounting module and updates the company's official scoreboard. No waiting, no manual data entry, it just happens. And what this all creates is something experts call a single version of financial truth. There aren't 10 different spreadsheets with 10 different numbers floating around. There is just one reliable, up-to-the-minute source of information for the entire company. And that allows leaders to actually trust their data and make smarter, faster, more confident decisions. So if this system really is the financial brain of a business, connecting every transaction and decision into one single thinking organism, it leaves us with one last pretty critical question to think about. What happens when that brain just stops working?